Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I thank the Honourable Member for the question. I was hoping Honourable Nand would be here. I wanted to wish him happy birthday. I guess he's celebrating somewhere. Madam Deputy Speaker, before I directly respond to the question asked in relation to work commenced in 2025 on skills gap assessment, I wish to update this August House on work undertaken prior to that. Madam Deputy Speaker, prior to 2023, I believe there was no comprehensive human resource development plan in place, no national survey undertaken, and no reliable data available to determine the skills needs of our nation. The student loan scheme allowed students to enroll in any course of their choosing without aligning national priorities. Entry requirement into tertiary institutions was reduced to from 200 to 250 to 200, and institutions began operating in a commercialized manner, accepting students without sufficient regard to their academic preparedness or aptitude. As a result, many students pursued programs beyond their capabilities, leading to high failure rates and ultimately forcing government to write off around 150 million in student loans. That was, Madam Deputy Speaker, 150 million down the drain, and a large number of frustrated young persons who had dropped out. Madam Deputy Speaker, recognizing these systemic gaps, in 2024, the TSLS engaged the expertise of Professor Hitendra Pillai from Queensland University of Technology to identify national priority areas. This work laid the foundation for a more targeted and data-driven scholarship allocation framework, ensuring that funding is directed towards sectors that truly require skilled manpower. The report identifies overfunded and underfunded areas aligned to sectors contributing to Fiji's GDP and provides clear guidance on future scholarship investments. The findings are publicly available and continue to inform annual scholarship allocations using historical and sectorial data. A key example of is the collaboration with Fiji Airways to support pilot training. Given that commercial pilot training can cost up to 200,000, targeted scholarships are provided to meet industry demand, including approximately 20 pilot training opportunities annually for Fiji Link. Madam Deputy Speaker, quite apart from this, the government has already implemented several key strategies that directly expand our national capacity for skills development, and these include: one, scholarships through the Tertiary Scholarship Service scheme, with a strong focus on priority areas experiencing critical shortages. Awards of TVET courses have been increased substantially. Strengthened and incentivized apprenticeship scheme, enabling young Fijians to gain practical industry-based skills while earning up to $5 an hour, equal to the minimum wage, with a top-up of $2 per hour by government. Madam Deputy Speaker, FSC alone has around 100 apprentices through this scheme. These young people will be bonded for 4 years after graduating. Number three, vocational training centers attached to secondary schools have been reopened, ensuring that students graduate with employable skills, even if they pursue non-academic pathways. The pathways, of course, through FNU. I must acknowledge the contribution of the Honourable Minister for Education, in making sure that these institutes are, or these attached vocational centers to secondary schools are reopened. If you remember us alluding to this in this House, Madam Deputy Speaker, all these technical centers attached to the secondary schools were closed when the technical colleges were opened in 2015. And the technical colleges were also closed after 4 years. Again, there was something like 30 million lost because of the closure of these technical colleges. Ladies and gentlemen, Madam Deputy Speaker, apart from this, ongoing support for institutions such as the NTPC, Pacific Polytech, Montfort Boys Town, Center for Appropriate Technology and Development, Nandave, Nabuso Agricultural Technical Institute, which play a major role in producing highly skilled job-ready workers. They are being assisted immensely. We have also extended the retirement age of the civil servants to 60 and also re-engaged retirees in the relevant fields where there is a need in terms of skill shortage in sharing their experiences and institutional knowledge. Madam Deputy Speaker, now I wish to provide an update on the question on the National Skills and Labour Demand Survey. In March 2025, a meeting was convened by the former Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Manuakam Kamida, together with the Fiji Commerce and Employers Federation, the Fiji Human Rights Institute, and the Higher Education Commission of Fiji to discuss the potential to conduct a skills and labor demand survey. Madam Deputy Speaker, the survey was conducted in collaboration with the assistance of Ministry of Strategic Planning, Reserve Bank of Fiji, ILO, International Office of Migration, World Bank, Pacific Australia Skills, Fiji Commerce and Employers Federation, and the Fiji Human Rights Institute. Madam Deputy Speaker, the survey was conducted by the Fiji Visitors Bureau of States and from November 2025 to February 2026. The purpose of the survey was to identify skills mismatch against the skills that are available and supplied to the labor market and those that are demanded by the employers. The survey report is expected to be launched by the Honorable Prime Minister sometime next month. Madam Deputy Speaker, before taking my seat, I wish to highlight that skills development and labor migration must be addressed together as a part of building a resilient and productive workforce. While existing programs strengthen skills and create opportunities, workplace challenges such as low morale, absenteeism, and poor attitudes must also be tackled. This year's World Day for Safety and Health at Work highlights the importance of a healthy psychosocial working environment, emphasizing that workers' well-being, motivation, and dignity are essential for productivity and retention. Without this, Fiji risks losing both skilled workers and the potential of its workforce. Therefore, alongside investments in training and development, there must be equal focus on creating supportive work cultures. By doing so, Fiji can strengthen its workforce, reduce skills gaps, and build a more sustainable and future-ready nation. Madam Deputy Speaker, today, 28th of April, is World Day for Occupational Health and Safety at Work. And I call upon all workers and employers to please work together to see that we are able to keep our workplaces injury-free and free of health risks, as well as reduce any toxicity at workplaces, which is a very serious matter in terms of affecting workers in psycho social terms. With this, I thank you, Madam.